Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of SMG Fishing. So the holidays are here. Today I thought I would take a little bit of time to explain to you something that I love to do, which is buy things. I love to buy things. Everybody loves to buy things. It's the holiday season. Everybody's buying stuff. I'm going to show you some things that you should do and some things that you should not do. In particular, this is going to apply to the boat that I've purchased, or the boats that I have purchased, and the cars and the truck and so the first thing you should not do is be impulsive. You know how like you're at the cash register and you've got your two items that you need at the store, but then you start to see like the sodas and the candy bars and all that other crap that you don't need? Don't buy those. Same thing like on the internet. Don't today say, hey, I really want a boat, and go out and tomorrow and buy one. Unless you know what you're doing, of course. But it should never be something instant like that. So if you're buying a car or a truck or a boat, take some time. Feel it out. Step number one is what I like to call trolling Craigslist. When you figure out that you want to buy something, wait a little while. During that time you're waiting, start shopping. So if you guys follow my channel, I bought a couple different boats, and each of them was a little bit different, and I feel like I got a better value for one than I did the other. What you need to do is today you figure out, hey, I really want a bass boat. Well, tomorrow and the day after that and for the next months, you need to be shopping. So what you do is you figure out what you want to buy. I wanted to buy a fiberglass bass boat. I was looking to spend $8,000 or $10,000. Give or take a few thousand. And I kind of got a sense of what an $8,000 to $10,000 bass boat was going to get me. And I slowly realized that, you know what, that's not what I wanted. If I want to get a bass boat, $8,000 to $10,000, if I got a newer one, that it was probably not going to be in good condition. If I got an older one, it still wasn't going to be in great condition. I started thinking, you know what, I could probably get an aluminum bass boat. Aluminum bass boats are really cheap. Okay, so caveat that. They're really cheap, asterisk, when they need to be fixed. So my search list changed from a fiberglass Skeeter or Triton to John boat. And when I was trying to find at least a 16-foot John boat, it didn't matter what condition it was, as long as the hull was in good condition and there was a trailer with it. So what I did was, for almost 6 months I looked. I already had a boat, so I wasn't in a rush to buy another one. But eventually I found a 16-foot Bass Tracker. It was a 1979 hull and had a 1984-85 outboard motor on it. Anytime you see something that needs work, whether it be a car that needs a water pump or a computer that just needs a new power supply. Anytime you have something that just needs, you need to be cautious. The person that has that item, just because they own it doesn't necessarily mean they know a lot about it. If you don't know everything there is to know about that subject that you're buying for, you should probably take it to a specialist. For cars, a lot of places will do like a used car inspection. The owner is saying about that vehicle. You take it in and the owner says it just needs a water pump, and the mechanic that you take it to is a reputable mechanic and say, hey, yeah, that just needs a water pump, and you're good to go. Everything else is fine. Or he might even point out a few more things that might actually help you with your negotiations on the price. Same thing goes for a boat. In my case, there wasn't really a whole lot to assess with the boat. If I had taken that to a boat dealer and been like, hey, what's wrong with this boat? They would have said, it's not in the scrapyard. But anyway, just know what you're getting into before you start negotiations. And also, you want to check the market. You don't want to buy a boat. Let's say you have a brand new Skeeter bass boat. You got an identical one maybe a couple hours away. If one's only $57,000 and the other one's like $67,000, you obviously don't want to pay $10,000 for something, or $10,000 more for something that you could have paid $10,000 less for. So make sure you search and you check the market and you know whatever you're buying is worth. So just be careful what you buy. Watch the market. You don't want to buy items that are in peak season. Like, you don't want to buy a boat in the late spring, early summer time frame. You want to buy something like that in the late fall, winter time, when nobody's using their boat, when they got covers on them and people are complaining because they're taking up too much room in the garage or something like that. So just know good timing. Know what whatever product you're looking for is worth. And then what I do, which may be a little controversial, but I do it anyway. When I had my first boat and I was looking for my second boat, when I was fishing out of it, I was on Craigslist. Probably like once or twice a month I would go on there and just troll around. What I do is, if I see something I want, I knock them in half at least. When people put things on Craigslist, one, they know that somebody's going to offer them way less than they want to get out of it. That's just negotiation tactics. You always start higher than what you want. Number two, people think right now that boats are worth their weight in gold, which is ridiculous. Some people are willing to pay that price. I am not one of those people, and I hope that you're not either. Overpaying for something just inflates the market, and then people can ask more and more for their boats or whatever it is out there. So I go out there and I offer as much cash as I'm willing to pay for it at the time that I have in my pocket. For example, let's say there's a 10 to 15-year-old Bass Tracker out there. Maybe the deck is deteriorating, or it needs new carpet, or the outboard motor doesn't work or something. Let's say that boat is $2,000. What I'll do is I'll say, hey, that looks like a pretty good deal, but I also have been watching the market, and I know that that boat usually goes for around $1,200 to $1,500. But if I go in there and I say, hey, you've got this posted at $2,000. I'd be willing to give you $600 cash right now. Today, I will come pick it up and get it out of your life. I'd probably say about 95% of the time, they're gonna look at you or send you an email back and say, no, thank you. I don't think that's a fair price. You might even get cussed out like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're crazy animal. I don't know. Which is completely fine with me. At that point, I'll say, okay, you're absolutely right. I appreciate your time. Sorry we couldn't come to a price. Sometimes they'll send you an angry email back and I'll be okay with that and I won't respond. Or sometimes they'll be like, okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. But on that flip side, that 5% chance that you have after you've hit up 100 different boats on Craigslist trying to get the price that you want, somebody is going to say, yes, absolutely, bring your cash today. I need to get rid of this boat. Some people might think that's morally wrong because that person might really need that $500 or that $2,000 or whatever they had posted for, and me cutting them in half is kind of hurting them. And I have a story that at first I kind of felt like that, and I kind of felt a little bad not really taking advantage of somebody, but giving them the least amount they would take. Like I said, when I bought my 79 Bass Tracker, I knew in my head that I was gonna have to strip down the entire trailer, replace the lights, the hubs, the tongue. The boat was gonna need to be completely gutted and I was gonna have to fabric. Pretty much knew everything. I knew I was gonna spend a chunk of change trying to replace that. That guy, however, thought that he was on his way to a really good product. The guy didn't know much about boats and he didn't know much about boat restoration, which is completely fine. If you wanna buy a boat tomorrow and go tinker out in your garage, that's absolutely cool. Not what I have in mind for that boat, but that might be something you have in mind for that boat. I knew when I bought that boat, it was going to be, to me in my head, an empty shell with a bare bones trailer. He said it ran like a year ago and it should be good now. In my mind, that wasn't even there. With everything, if everything worked on that boat, that motor alone is worth at least $800 if it ran perfectly. I knew going into that deal, a fair price for the both of us was probably around $1,200. However, I didn't want to spend $1,200 on a boat at that very moment. I already have a boat that I'm fishing out of and it works perfectly fine. But in my head, I thought, if he can let that one go for $600, that is a really good deal for me. What I did was I offered him $500 for it. He did email me back. He said, would you be willing to do, I think he said 700 or 750. And I sent him back and I'm like, you know, with this, and this, I'm not really 100% sure. I've had bad experiences in the past buying stuff and they not work. How about I give you $600 cash and I will come down today and put the cash in your hand and take your boat away. And he said, absolutely, that's great. I'm really trying to get rid of it. At that point, you're kind of feeling bad because you don't know whether or not the guy really needed the money or if he just had, maybe he's got 7 boats sitting in his garage that he is doing restorations on and he just doesn't want to mess with this one anymore. You never know. The guy could have been his favorite boat in the world and maybe he's trying to get together some money to pay his bills or feed his family. At that point, you have no idea, which is why this might be a little controversial. Not only was it a $3 million house, but I pulled up and in the driveway, not the garage, in the driveway, there are 6 very high-end vehicles. The guy probably had $2 million worth of cars sitting in his driveway. When I saw that, I realized that he was probably trying to get rid of this boat project, which when he opened the garage was laid all over this garage in pieces. He was probably just trying to clear out his garage so his $1 million cars didn't get rained on. At that point, I don't feel bad. Which takes me back to another point. If somebody is in that situation where they really need to pay their mortgage and they don't want that boat to go for such a little amount of money, they will tell you, hey, I really can't let that go for less than $1,200, which would have been a fair price. Or they'll tell you, no, thank you, I really can't afford to let it go at that price. When you lowball somebody like that, if they get upset with you, don't badger them. Don't send them more emails saying, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. That thing is not worth what you think it's for. If they're not willing to let something go at a price, it's got a reason behind it. They either can't let it go at that price because they can't afford to let it go at that price, or maybe that guy who yesterday decided he wanted a boat is on Craigslist and he goes up there and he buys a boat for whatever guy's price is at like $10,000 more than what everybody else is selling it for. That to me is a little shady. So if you're a new subscriber, thank you very much for coming and watching this channel. Make sure you go check out my other videos. If you're an old-time subscriber, thank you guys so much for sticking with me for this long. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. We've got some really exciting videos coming together. The deck is going to be put on the boat pretty soon once I figure out a couple things. Springtime bass fishing is about to come up. It's going to be really exciting. I'm really hoping to get some big bass on some beds, and I'm just looking forward to all you guys out there and all your comments and everything. So if you have any comments, make sure you leave them down below. I always answer them, and I really always appreciate the positive comments that I'm getting back. If you guys really like this video and you think it was awesome, please leave me a thumbs up. If you think that this was a really controversial video and that I'm the worst person in the world, do whatever you think you need to do. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.